Welcome to the Big Woods Bucks podcast. I'm your host, Hal Blood, sitting down here at Lake Parlin Lodge at the end of the second week of deer season, 2025. It's actually Friday night, so it's not quite the end. And we're going to do the same thing we did last week and have a few guests on here that killed their bucks this week. We don't have everybody, but we got a couple people, some good stories, and we also have Billy Molls here back again by special request, all the way from Wisconsin.
Happy to be here.
Yeah, and he's been hunting all week, but he's going to tell you a few stories. Brandon's going to be co-hosting tonight. He hosts the Life of a Maine Guide. What do we call it?
Through the Eyes
of a Maine Guide podcast. So, but he said his throat's a little scratchy. He's been trying to call deer all week, so I don't know how much he's going to talk. So anyway, we'll kick it off first with Ben LaRoche from what town you live in? New Hampshire?
New Hampton.
New Hampton?
Yep.
New Hampshire.
Yep. All
Yep.
the way. One state.
And what's your license plate on your truck?
Hunting truck.
Hunting truck. Yep.
Yeah, that's what. Since the boys were little, whether it's that truck or something else, it's the hunting truck. I get it in the hunting truck.
Okay, that's good.
Scout or something.
Yep. So, how many years you been coming here, Ben?
This is my fifth.
Fifth year.
Yep.
Yep. I think you went guided with Ben before, right, in the beginning?
Joe.
Yep,
for 2 years, and and then the last couple years on the American plan, trying to figure it out on my own.
Yep. Did you shoot one last year?
I did. I got a doe last year.
That's right.
Got a doe permit and got a doe, and then they cut that spot, so there'll be no more hunting there for a few years.
But you got a buck this year.
Yeah. I got a great buck.
Yeah.
So this year, and I just kind of wanted to say, for the sake of the podcast and your guys' outfit, we talked the first year I came, and I came to the conclusion I didn't think I wanted to go guiding. I've hunted Pittsburgh a lot. I kind of understand hunting the big woods, and I finally said, all these college courses I've taken, $1,600, $2,000 a semester, right, and maybe use a little bit of it, and you can spend that a little bit more on a guided hunt, and you'll take things back from your guide that you'll use the rest of your hunting life, and so those 2 years, it's worth it. Anybody that's kind of on the fence, do I really need a guide? It's good information, and everybody in camp has good information, but I would definitely, those 2 years I think contributed to this year, and so it's been a much better. We had snow this year, It's been a rough second week the last couple of years where you'd have one day and you'd lose tracks or lose elevation, and so I was on snow all week, which was great, and I kind of went back to a spot I hadn't hunted this year, just on a whim, and found better snow, and I was pretty tired on Thursday, and I thought, wow, I'm going to get out of the truck. I might even take a little nap before I go. What's the difference, 7:30 in the woods or 6:30 in the woods? But there was a track right there at the dead end that I parked at, and it wasn't a big track. Didn't even, small buck or a doe, but it was really fresh. It was kind of spitting, and there was nothing in it. So this deer worked the edge of that old cut, 5, 6, 7 years old, not too grown up. But it worked the edge, and it, smelt some tracks, and then it smelt a couple of beds, and I thought, maybe it's a buck, and then it smelt another bed a little further down, and it peed like a buck will do coming out of there. So young buck, I've been tracking for like 18 years now, and I've successfully crept up on one doe, and I've jumped a lot of them, but just never put it all together. So I said, well, just like the whole week, this deer will take me to other deer, and it's fresh enough. I think I'll get a chance at seeing it. And so it kept working the edge of that cut, and it worked up, up the hillside in a kind of one, not really a skid trail in a clear cut, but an opener area. And I just looking real good, knowing I was probably close. Plus, there's a lot of moose in that area, and I don't mind seeing moose, but it's always nice to see a moose before it sees you. I think.
Yeah, for sure.
And so the hill crested, kind of hooked off to the left, that open area, and I'm looking, and I like 80 yards out, I see a deer staring at me, and I couldn't put horn. It was just in some beaches, and I knew it was a big deer, but I'd seen a big doe earlier that morning that I thought for sure would have horns on. It didn't, and so I'm looking. I pull my binoculars up. Even with the binoculars, I couldn't put anything on it. I said, I just put the binoculars down and just be ready, And just as I started to move the binoculars, he turned, and he's a big 8-pointer, and I didn't know, at the time. So he kind of snap jumped real hard, quartering away, and but froze long enough I could get a first shot off, and looking forward to skinning it because I don't really know that I even hit it on the first one, to be honest with you. But he came out into that opening. And as he came out, big doe took off from behind him, went down the hill, and I saw the flash of something headed up, which may have been that deer I was following. And he came out, and he just turned and wasn't really coming toward me, just kind of facing my direction, and put it on his neck and dropped him like a sack of potatoes. So I was pretty ecstatic. It was pretty ecstatic. I weren't going to sneak up on any moose after that because it was. You
were on a dead run then.
It was a little loud, yeah. So, to get that second shot, I had to move up right and get in, around some beaches that were on that corner, and it was great. And so, and I had a bar service. I happened to be looking for a number for to send a message to somebody, and so my kids don't go to school till 7:30, so I tried to get a hold of the youngest, and it was awesome. It was great. And so it wasn't the deer I was tracking. I know that. His foot's way bigger than what that deer was, but, it all worked out, and that's all you can really hope for, bring you into other deer and get a chance like that. And he's by far my biggest deer weight. I mean, I think it's a big 8-point rack, pretty
nice
tall
buck,
and heavy. And so, yeah.
Gonna have him mounted?
Yeah. Yeah. What's another few more $1,000? So, I'm pretty excited about it. And like I said, it's the biggest one I've gotten. And, a lot of that, a lot of years of doing it. But I appreciate everybody here is great, right? It's your outfit. But, everybody, the guides are willing to give information. And guys on the American plan, they know what they're doing, and we pass information along and have good conversations, how the day went. Oh, I've seen that before, and it's awesome. So I was ecstatic, and we had a fun day just driving around in Jackman today, which was really different to not have a tag in my pocket. So had a lot of fun, but he's a beautiful deer, and I'd love to shoot a 200-pounder, but he's great. He's a trophy.
Was it 177?
177. Yeah, we were. Steve had met. Steve would be on, but we had met at the tagging station, and the scales facing me, and I was like, "Whoa," or something. And he said, "What?" Like probably it's 200 pounds, and I said, "It's the same weight as yours."
Yeah. $2 the same weight.
Yeah, funny.
Yeah.
But yeah. So, an awesome week, and I saw a ton of deer this week, I think, and I was saying the snow helps, right? Not just seeing them, but knowing that they're there. But every day in the woods, it felt like, well, there's got to be 1 million deer in this town, in this area, because there's just tracks everywhere. And that most of the week was tough because I'd follow a smaller buck track, and, then it gets into other does and bucks, and they, they're really cruising this week, I think, right? And they'd get into those pockets and
going.
Tough to keep with them unless you found a real, smasher. But I never really found a smasher track until, that guy. And
smashers are waiting for next week.
Yeah,
they know when the real deal's on.
Yeah. So, it's been awesome week once again. 5 years of coming up here, and I got that doe last year, and that was exciting. And now I'll head to New Hampshire and keep trying.
Keep trying. Keep at it. Well, thanks for sharing your story. I think everybody's going to appreciate that.
Well, thanks for having me on, and glad I finally made it happen. So, thank you guys.
It's great.
Yeah.
Great. All right. I don't know. It's going to be a hard story to top there, but we're counting on Steve to be able to do it, right? Here's a few words from our sponsors. They're all top-notch people. We're glad to have them aboard. Make sure you support them. That's what keeps us going. Being the low-tech guy I am, there's one thing I've learned to embrace with technology, and it's my Onyx. I used to carry maps and GPS when it finally came out and stuff, but the Onyx has eliminated that because I've got my GPS in my phone now with my Onyx app. I can mark everything in that. It's helpful that I can show other people by putting a pin in if I want to send somebody to a place. Being a guide, that's important, you know. I can give them the pin, you know, put it in there, you know, I text it to them, whatever. So if you want to get your Onyx, get your Big Woods Bucks code, BWB, and get you 20% off, but I highly recommend it. Give you a little update. Skinner Sights. We all know they're the best site going, but it's a great company because Andy and the crew there are innovative and they're always thinking up either new models to make a site for, improve the sites, making mounts for scopes, and now they've come on with their own line of scopes and red dots. Whatever Andy does in the company, it's top-notch, first quality, and they stand behind everything, and we're glad to have them as a partner, and we hope you'll try their sites, and you can trust your life with those, and they're going to get you the game. So get your Skinner sites, and you can trust me that you're going to be glad you did. Just wanted to talk a little bit about minus 33 in the wool they have, which I believe is best wool going, whether it's base layers or your socks or whatever you're wearing. You got to have wool. I've been stressing that for people for years, to wear your wool, whether it's the outerwear or even your base layers and socks. I've been to the tour of the plant, see how they make their socks, and it's quality, the fit is right, and they're going to be long-lasting. I've got socks I've had now for several years, and they look like I'll have them for several years more before they even think about wearing out. So I trust my life to wool, and you can too. Minus 33. All right, back to the podcast. All right.
Looks like he's dressed for an interview.
Yeah, I know.
Transitioning back to civilianhood.
Yeah. Steve went over and put on his Sunday best for this.
Yeah. Well, everybody's wearing flannel. I just took a clean. Ben and I did laundry the other day, so I got some clean clothes to put on.
All right. Yeah, you're looking
Okay?
dapper tonight.
Oh, feeling good.
Doing good.
How you doing, Billy?
I'm doing great.
Yeah.
Steve, we're proud of you. I told you, man. You thought I was joking.
Yeah, so Steve's been coming since the beginning, I think, haven't you?
Oh, I missed the first year.
Missed the
This
first
is my sixth.
6 year.
Yep.
And coming here, and you went guided when you started, too.
Yep.
Joe
2 years with Joe. They cut me loose on year 3.
Yeah, he gave you the green light to go on your own, right?
Yep. I joke I fired him after year 2, but and no, he got me going. Yep.
Yeah.
Sure, and you did too as well.
Yeah. So Steve's going to have quite a story because he's been hunting for, 35 years?
It's it's 35, 36. Yeah, it's
Whatever.
1989ish. Yeah.
So many you lost count, huh?
Yeah, well, I stopped counting. Everybody else but me. Everyone else is still counting. I'm not counting anymore. I'm not counting anymore, actually.
Yeah, right. You don't have to count anymore.
No. Yeah, it's
Yeah. So,
amazing.
yeah. Where are you from again?
Hingham, Massachusetts.
Hingham, Mass, yeah.
One in Boston.
Yeah. All right. Steve White, 35 years, he finally kills his first buck.
In the way you wanted me to kill it.
Right. Tracking. Track down his first buck he kills tracking.
Yep.
So I don't know where you're going to go from here, but
Yeah, 200.
200, that's your next. Okay. That's a good goal. That's
Yeah.
good. Yep.
Yep. The goal is to shoot at tracking, and sometimes it doesn't work out, as you know, if the weather doesn't cooperate, and you have to sit, and
Yeah.
did a little bit of that this week.
Yep. So you've already become a celebrity with this with this buck. You're in outdoor life.
Yeah.
You're all
I
over
believe
the
it.
internet. Everything's viral. What do you think about that?
Well, I'm kind of ashamed because I don't really do social media all that much. I just dabble in it, and I'm getting texts from people that I don't even. I've walked into people in Jackman and said, I saw you on that video last night. You're that guy. Like, what the heck is going on? And my daughter's like, yeah, it's like 400,000 views. I'm like, what are you talking about?
Yeah.
It's kind of interesting. I can see how things take a life of its own for sure.
Yeah, but I think your story, you're going to give hope to a lot of other people because it's about not giving up, right?
Yeah.
You just keep going and going, and eventually, I guess eventually the law of averages has to catch up somewhere.
It's pretty bad average, though.
I know. I wasn't going to say that, Steve.
It's a whole lot better now, though.
It sure is.
Yeah.
Oh, well, I'm 1 for 2 shooting. How's that? That's not too bad.
You what now?
1 for 2 shooting. I missed last year. And
That's right. You missed one last year.
technically 1 for 3 because I took 2 shots last year and missed. And I only took 1 this year.
But now you dialed in.
Well, you never die. I think this is a very special moment. I'm not going to be able to replicate it, and I hope I can shoot another deer someday. But my expectations are, pretty low. It's not easy, right? I mean, you've been at it hunting your whole life, and you're up here. You're day 5, right?
Day 11. Day 11. I've had 11 days of trying to deer track, or 10 anyway. We took 1 day off last year, but it's hard.
Yeah.
I told Hal, I've learned more in these 2 weeks of hunting deer in Maine than I've learned in any 2 weeks in my whole entire life.
That's amazing.
About hunting. It's as intimate as it gets.
Yep.
This is like the World Series right here. Yeah.
That made me feel really good.
Of your skill set.
I think you said it on maybe a reel or something that you said it's like the Alaskan version of
the Alaska of deer hunting.
Yeah, and to me that made me feel good because it's humbling. You think you're in shape, right? One thing is you think you're in shape, and next thing you know you're ducking under logs, and you're 2 or 3 miles into your hike and tracking this deer, and it's like, oh my God, my legs are killing me. You forget to drink water, you start cramping up, and
Yeah, you're getting your aerobics when you walk through these woods, huh?
You are, and I did a fair amount of I learned my lesson from following Joe for 2 years that it's tough, and so I did a lot of leg work this year. There's less aerobics, but you got to do both. It's not the same. Walking in the woods is just not the same as any other thing you can imagine.
Yeah, in these woods especially because there's a lot of blowdowns.
Yep.
A lot of soft ground, a lot of wet ground.
Yep. You're always balancing on your feet. It's not just walking flat. And you always have to pay attention to where you're stepping.
Yeah.
Now,
this week the snow's been kind of wet, so it's slippery. Huh?
It is.
Going up the hills, it's slippery.
Those blowdowns that are sort of waist high, whether you're not sure if you can step over it or go under it.
Yeah.
I had a few of those just on Wednesday. I'm on my hands and knees on one, and the other one I'm trying to roll over the thing and hang onto my gun, and it's a challenge. It's fun. The deer's not taking you places that are easy to go. They don't want to be caught, right? So you're walking through streams. My hunt was idyllic for me. It was like the most. I've been listening to you for years, and you and Joe and everybody else, and the stories, and I picture myself walking through this beautiful wilderness and tracking this beautiful track, and the snow was glistening on the trees, and it was all of that. It was all of that. It was like, and then I come around the corner, and I pick my head up, and there's this big, beautiful buck. I'm like, oh, my God, this is unbelievable. And then I shot, and I actually hit the thing.
See, dreams do come true.
They do. But it was just beautiful. Like, if you ended here, this is the last hunt I ever had, it's like, amen. It's like, it's great. And I have to tell you, you sit here, and even at 61 years old, you're still a sponge. You're trying to assimilate information. And, thank God for, you guys that sort of give us people who haven't been doing it their whole life the right way, at least give us a jump start. And I have to say, all these little things add up, watch the track, but you still got to watch in front of you. And if the watch in front of you, but you also have to watch the track because you can lose the track, and then you get mixed up with doe and other buck and everything else. And it was just a whole slew of information went through my mind while I was walking after that deer.
Well, that's why we do it.
Yeah.
So guys like you can have your dreams come true.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. And no one prepares you for what happens after you shoot the deer.
No. You didn't have to go online and learn how to gut it out, did you?
I couldn't. There was no sound reception. I got a quick story for that, and if you can read it in that article that we were on, I had a couple of I think I sent you a picture of it, Billy. I had two how-to manuals in my pack, and I was carrying a pack because I was sitting. So Wednesday, I decided Ben has been walking around with a fanny pack all when he said. So I said, "It's much lighter." He says it's more comfortable. So I threw a bunch of crap out of my pack, and I had 2 guides. One was survival in the wilderness, and the other one was how to field dress a deer in the woods. So I threw the wilderness manual on the table and put the how to dress a deer in my pack with my knife. And so, not knowing anything, I ended up shooting this deer, and I'm like, oh my gosh, what am I going to do now? I got to put my big pants on and big white pants and actually do something with this thing. And so I put my glasses on and I pull out this manual, and it's got tabs on it. Step 1, step 2, step 3. So I flip it open to step 1. Straddle a deer. So the deer's face is in my ass, and I got the leg spread. Okay, find the sternum. So I find the sternum. Trace it down to the anus. But don't slice too deep because you're going to cut the meat. And I went to step 11. And the only thing I really screwed up was the anus. But and I thought the guts were like going to magically fall out of the deer. And of course, I'm reaching my hand and I'm, what the hell is going on here? And I'm getting the knife and trying to cut stuff around. And I finally was able to roll all the guts out. And I start pulling the deer up, and all this big thing came out of its ass. It was hanging out about like 3 feet long. I'm like, oh my God, I must have done something wrong. So I just went in the back and I cut it, and I had Joe had, I didn't reach Joe just to let him know, and he got back to me and said he was coming back, and I was a little nervous because I didn't want to butcher this deer. Like, I wanted to make sure I did a really good job, and he was the one who sort of mentored me in the beginning. And when he got there, and I said, I'm sorry, this is a mess. And he opened up, he goes, no, this is actually not bad. You saved the tenderloins and everything. The only thing I left in there was the heart.
Yeah.
So I felt good about that. So I didn't damage too many organs. And
Yeah.
But those how-to manuals, I'm going to be selling them for $9.99 plus tax, 3 easy installments at $333. But Billy, you and I were talking. You're like, what are you going to do if you shoot a deer? And I said, well, if I have YouTube, I'm definitely going to use YouTube. But I didn't have cell service, and even the inReach really wasn't working all that well. So best thing that ever happened. I was stuck out there by myself.
Yeah.
And if I didn't have the 5 years prior to that, it would have been a lot more difficult. That's for sure.
Yeah. For all you big woods buck hunters, if you're looking for an ideal base camp for hunting in the big woods, in the Adirondacks and Tug Hill, you got to call our friends at Christmas and Associates. For over 35 years, they've been providing land and camps to sportsmen, 5 to 50 acres, rivers, streams, and ponds in some of the best locations, affordable prices, and in-house financing with low monthly payments. They can even build their Adirondack-style cabins on property you already own. For more info, call Christmas and Associates at 1-800-229-7843 or go to landandcamps.com. Visit Christmas and Associates on Facebook. So I'd like to have you tell that story you told us about you going to hunting camp in Vermont, your mother-in-law telling you every year for all these years that this is the year. And
she passed away 4 years ago to the day that I shot my deer.
Yeah.
I still get welled up about it. It's just crazy because someone asked me why I keep coming back, and it was all the traditional stuff. And I married my wife back in, we married in 91, but I met her in 85, and I started hunting in 89. And she had 5 sisters, and I had 5 brother-in-laws and a father-in-law who loved to hunt. And so they took me under their wing. They taught me how to hold a gun, how to shoot a gun, and all that stuff. But what really kept me sort of associated with it was the love of the tradition, the wood-burning stove, the crackling sound of like the AM radio. My father-in-law wanted to get the weather, so he knew where we were going to go, how long we were going to sit. My mother-in-law would get up and make us, poached eggs on toast, pack our lunch, and then we'd go out for the day. And she would say, this is your day. This is going to happen. And that was for 20-something years. And I'd come back, and she'd be waiting in the window. Well, after a while, my father-in-law passed away. It was just me. And she'd stand there waiting for me in the window, and I'd get out. And I'm like, no, well, there's always tomorrow. We'll get him tomorrow. And she'd have a pot roast dinner waiting for me. And then we'd watch the evening news and go to bed and get up and do it again. And then like the last day of the hunting season, she said, you're going to come back to camp next year, aren't you? And I said, definitely coming back. She goes, next year is going to be your year. And then I'd see her sometime. And she goes, "This is going to be your year this year. You're coming to deer camp, right?" And I'm like, "Yeah." And I was up there by myself with her for the 4 days of Thanksgiving, and my wife was a teacher, so I do the first 3 or 4 days with my mother-in-law. We had this great time together. She's a wonderful woman. And then my wife would bring the kids up for Thanksgiving Thursday through Sunday. Of course, they'd come up and say, "Did you get a deer?" I said, "No, I didn't get a deer." And it became kind of a running thing. And I was hoping that when I first started coming up here that I'd get a deer before she passed, but my brother-in-law texted me on Sunday and said, we called her Nancy Edwards as a joke, but we said, "Nancy Edwards is going to be with you this week." And I said, "Yeah, well, okay, it's nice, but this has been 36 years." But I do, it's the first thing I thought of when I saw it.
Yeah.
I shot the deer is first thing I thought of.
I bet.
Yeah. But I think that, just not to beat a dead horse, but what kept me coming back was the tradition and the hope, and I just love the woods, and I never really had that. I grew up in the suburbs of Boston. We didn't know anything about guns or any of that stuff, so I had a really good opportunity to meet some really great people. And
see, a lot of people think hunting's about killing something.
You always say that, Al. It's
Yeah.
not always about killing stuff.
No. It's all the experience.
Process, right?
Yep.
If you don't love the process, I would have quit a long time ago. You probably
Oh, yeah.
do.
Yep. You got to enjoy the whole process.
Yep.
Yep.
So, but I thank you for everything, and
Yeah.
it's kind of a funny thing that happened and took a life of its own.
Yeah.
And it makes me appreciate for everything that I've gone through for all these years, which has been all pleasure, but it became a running joke for a while, and I was like, okay, maybe I should just pack it in.
No, never quit.
No, and like I told you, Wednesday I'll be back. I mean,
Yep.
I said I got the fever. Billy's like, "You've had the fever."
Yeah.
So thank you.
All right. Well, I appreciate you sharing that with everybody.
Yep. And to Bishop's, I need to get some old Milwaukee in the refrigerator down there. Because that was the
Amen.
Yeah.
Well, Sam Adams wasn't bad. But my mother-in-law, we would joke. I said, "Nancy, if I get a deer, we're going to get a 6-pack of old Milwaukee, and we're going to drive around to all the relatives' houses and show the deer." She said, "Damn right, we're going to do that, Steve." So,
Yeah. Oh,
right.
all righty.
Thank you.
Yep. Thank you, Steve.
Good boy, Steve.
All right, Steve. Yeah. Never give up.
Hey, Al here. I just want to take a minute to talk about our wool gear. Our Big Woods Bucks wool gear it's the best value there is on the market. We have 100% virgin wool clothing, whether it's our packs, pants, jackets, whatever. The virgin wool it's the natural fiber from the sheep, and it wraps into a tight thread. That's what makes it waterproof, pretty much wind resistant, and comfortable to wear. It's quiet for hunting, especially in the big woods. You can't find anything better than wool clothing. So we have ours. It's all made in USA with all U.S. accessories and everything. We've got years of experience guiding, and it's thought that's going into this stuff. So we've tried to keep the average hunter in mind and kept the price point at where people can afford it. We hope you enjoy it. Wear your woolies. Cotton is death.
Yep.
Persistence.
Persistence. That's right. Yep. Yeah. So we've had a good week.
Yeah, what were the 3 P's? Patience, persistence,
Practice. Patience, practice, and persistence.
Yep.
Persistence is the last one because it's the important one. Same as never give up.
Yep.
Yep. Yep. So, anyway, Brandon's been guiding all week and last week.
Yep.
Into a few deer.
Doing a lot of practice.
A lot of practicing, yep. Brandon's practicing. I've been practicing, too. I've been practicing trying to figure out where the big one's been hanging out this week.
You found him today, though, right?
Today I found one good one finally. Been plenty. I mean, I've walked by 10 buck tracks a day every day, but I'm looking for Mr. Big.
I found that one last week.
Yeah, found one. You get one once in a while early, you find them, but So, yeah, got on a pretty good one today. But the way it snowed all day and down the low country there was minimal snow, it didn't really pan out. So Billy, you having a good week? Learning a lot.
Yes, sir. Yeah, learning every day. I think probably learning something every hour.
Yeah. So Billy came and I took him last year around, showed him the ropes, and we got 2 days of tracking in, most of 2 days anyways. And so this year when he came, I said, "You're on your own." Brought his Jack Pine cameraman with him and turn him loose every day, send him to a spot. The only thing, my pressure this week was I got to send Billy somewhere, but I hope he can find a track where I send him, or I ain't going to look very good if he don't.
I don't know if that'd be on you, Hal, but
But you found tracks every day,
yeah.
right?
Oh yeah, we've had tracks every day. Yesterday was the slowest day we've had, but yeah, today we're on 2 bucks, and yeah. I still don't get it, but he was literally walking in circles and in a tiny little area, and every time you think, oh, I hope he goes that way, he never would. He'd always go through the thick stuff, and that was a big buck right away this morning. And I heard guys talking about walking in tamarack swamps, and they'll never leave a little 20-acre swamp, and it seems kind of unfathomable until you see it for yourself. And I think that's a big thing, like watching your videos, reading your book. You can't build a mental image of that map until you do it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Now it means something totally different. Like now I get it, or you know, kind of. It's easy to put the pieces together.
When you told me about that today, I don't think I've ever had that happen in that small of an area where one just would keep going around and around you, that he just felt safe enough and he didn't run off. You know.
Yeah,
that was strange.
Yeah.
Must be a Bill thing, because Bill had that same issue happen 3 days in a row.
Yeah.
Same deer.
Yep.
The only thing I can think of is nobody's ever tracked that buck before. It's way back in, you know, and it wasn't a coyote chasing him, so he wasn't worried about it, you know. Yeah, that was pretty interesting, though. But you did get a look at a buck this week.
Yeah, that was cool, and it's kind of been like step by step. You can see the progression, and I mean, I always figure like as long as you're making progress, you can do anything. You know, life gets hard, things get hard to do if you're not seeing progress. But you know, we've seen progress consistently, getting closer to animals and tracking some deer. A couple of days ago, we found 2 tracks. I figured it was probably like a spike and a doe. It was 2 adult deer. And so we stalked it. Going into this, I figured if I could get any antlered buck tracking it, like legit follow the track, shoot the deer. That's kind of been the goal. I'd shoot anything. And so we got up on it, had Jack Pine about 5 yards behind me, and we had a nice little clearing. Doe jumps out, throw the gun up, ready, and out pops another doe. And I was like, well, wasn't really that disappointed because I kind of knew it wasn't much of a buck if it was a buck. But it was like, all right, this can happen, you know. And the big one we were on a couple of days ago, tracked that thing for miles and went up way high, and everything was right. And that bugger was walking straight into the wind for 500 yards, and then he took a hard right up the mountain. And I knew, like, I was like, okay, like something's changing here. And he'd been eating a little bit. And then he went up and he button hooked. I looked back at Jack Pine. I'm like, we're going to run into this deer. And like 3 seconds later, I poke up, and we'd just seen a moose. And I don't know if this made the difference or not, but we just saw a big bull moose and sitting in the timber, and you could just see his tines sticking out from the trees. And so when I popped up and I'm looking, and all of a sudden I see tines pop up, and the first thing in my head was moose. And all of a sudden it's like deer's gone. It was just that fast at 30 yards. And he was right behind a blowdown, watching his back trail, and he took one bound out where I could see him. Before I could even get my gun out, whoosh, he had turned, and it was just spruce trees blocking it, and you couldn't see him. And he just, whoosh, one blow,
Yep.
and he was gone. And then 4 miles later, we were still chasing him. That was that, but just getting that close. If he'd just
Said he had long beams.
Yeah, he had long beams. That's one thing I notice about your bucks that's just different is long main beams going forward out the nose. It was, I don't know. I wouldn't say he was, you know, a booner or something like that, but he'd have fit in on your wall. I know that, you know.
Yeah, he was worthy of a bullet, huh?
Yeah, yep. It was a good track, good buck. I mean, Just
Yeah.
an amazing adventure. It's an adventure. Because, you're on all day long when you're on that track. And I think it was day 2. We were on a buck that we bumped him. Been on so many bucks I don't keep them all keep track of them. But it was something like primal, like triggered in me when I was tracking a deer that we had bumped, and he was running for quite a ways. Tracking an animal that he knows that you're hunting him, like that you're there and you're right on his trail. That was like, I don't know. I mean, I've tracked wounded bears before. I don't know. That was just kind of different.
Yeah.
You know? It was a different game. You know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And his life depends on getting away.
Yeah. He's got to get it right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Good stuff. So I'm glad you're learning a lot.
Oh, loving it. I mean, this is, I don't know. Like, I think if more people knew what this is, I love the tradition. Like Steve said, the camaraderie of it. I love that. I missed that as a kid. We used to have that up in Wisconsin. Now you got so much private land, and everybody's doing the food plot thing and the management thing, which I think is great. But there's like a competitiveness that isn't here. It's more the camaraderie and the brotherhood. Everybody's pulling for everybody. You know, it's different here. You don't have that one buck that's living in 160 acres, and there's a few different guys hunting it. You know.
Yeah.
These deer are all over the place. You know, they're here 1 minute, gone the next. It's just a different thing. There's a lot more camaraderie and unity in this hunting community and that hunting camp tradition. That I've missed that for a long time. Yeah, it's awesome. I love it.
Yeah. Yep. And I think it's like because we have so much territory to hunt, then it doesn't matter if everybody shares info, because a buck you shoot there one day, he might have been 5 miles in a different place the next day or the day before,
That's like, I've been in the woods for, the last 2 weeks. I haven't seen a set of footprints in the woods other than what we laid down. I haven't hunted the same spot twice.
Yeah.
Every day we're going to a different place, checking out a different place, putting on at least 5-6 miles a day. You ain't seeing nothing. Like, there's nobody out there. You see people driving there, but you get back in the woods and it's vast.
Yeah.
It's nice.
Brandon's never hunted around Jackman before. I think he's getting a bug for it, though.
It's a little different than Allagash.
Yeah.
I will say that. Has its ups and downs, though.
Yeah.
It's a lot flatter up there.
Right. Yeah, we got a little terrain here, don't we?
Yeah, but you ain't got all the swamps and the deadfall and the clear cuts and that stuff like we got to get through up there. So I'd much rather climb a mountain than go across a clear cut.
Yeah, more deer up in the Allagash, so, huh?
Yeah, I might have to argue that.
Yeah. No, it's pretty good around here now. It's no problem finding a buck track. It's been funny, though, that, like I said, it's always happens that the biggest ones, they know when the rut starts, and they don't do much before that. Yeah, it's kind of lucky when you find one of them great big monster tracks early. You do it sometimes, but I've been out since last week. Well, we've had snow for about a week, so on a week on snow, I've only found a couple of those big tracks. I found one today, but next week, all of a sudden, you're going to see, it's like, where'd this thing come from? You go in the same piece of woods you were in, and all of a sudden, there's them big toe draggers stomping around, They've been just biding their time, saving their energy. Yeah,
They just not moving? You think they're coming in from
Yeah, they don't
far
move
reaches?
around as much. They're up. Sometimes they're hanging out in some secluded ridge or mountain or something, and they just know, because I think they can smell it in the air. Like dogs in heat, they can smell that for miles, and they just ain't going to waste energy, because they're not going to eat. Once they start, they barely eat for 2 weeks. That's how they lose all that weight. So
Well, that was like that big one that we run into last week there when I was guiding. He was all by himself up on top of him. There weren't deer sign anywhere around there except to where we jumped, and then you started seeing a little bit of him, and it was just deer tracks, and you went half a mile without another deer track. He was just living up there by himself on the edge of that ledge face, and that's where he was.
it's kind of the same way that one you saw, Billy. He wanted to be up high in the mountain there and by himself.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that real big track we cut last year way up high.
Yeah.
On second week, all by himself and cruising the ridge.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's like any animal. It is amazing.
Yep. And the other thing I noticed, always noticed it, but again, it was kind of amazing because I made a big loop today. Actually did more than I wanted to. 10.9, Scott told me. But anyways, there was hardly even the old roads that you can't drive on, hardly a deer track crossing them. But you get down, you get into where there was some deer, and there was all kinds of deer, and none of them crossing any roads.
Nope.
Hanging out in these, I mean, not, I want to say little patches of woods, but, pretty big pieces of woods surrounded by roads, and that's where they are. They don't come out as much, But them big bucks know where all those pockets of deer are, and next week they have to cross roads eventually, but you kind of early, you got to kind of get into those places and kick around to find them big tracks. So, yeah. Well, I think that's good enough. We kind of covered most everything for the week. We're having another good time, and this is the first time I remember having snow the whole second week here. We've had snow the whole week. And
Been pretty good snow, too.
Good snow. Down low it gets a little sketchy place. We haven't had down low all week, but there was snow somewhere, and it seems to freshen up about every night. I know driving down to supper every night, we're driving in the snow and driving home in the snow, and so it's freshened up every day. But it's been a great week, and
Before we go, why don't you tell everybody what happened yesterday?
Oh, yeah. Okay. So every year in the summer, I don't use my Ram Charge very much, the Gray Ghost. So in the summer, I'm always making sure everything's tip-top, greased, oil change, go over things. And then I got into moose season with it, and all of a sudden things are cropping up. It sits all year, and you get using it. And I think things automatically happen. But I ended up having a bad ball joint on one side and a tie rod end on the other side, and I didn't want to do the ball joint work myself because I didn't have a torch to heat. Anyway, long story short, took it down to the garage in town. My buddy Zach he put the ball joints in. I said, rebuild everything in there, axle universal and all that. So he did, and then the next day, me and Scott jumped in it to use it, and was snow on the road, icy and snowy, and I'm like, man, this don't feel like it's in four-wheel drive. Get out, check the hubs are in, and I don't remember, even on icy roads, this thing went better than that in four-wheel drive, Didn't think nothing of it, and then I was going down to a place, I was going to purposely go through this mud hole that Brandon had been through with two-wheel drive so I could take a picture of the Ram Charger going through it in two-wheel drive, and I got down in the mud hole and started spinning, and I'm like, well, I guess I'm going to have to put the hubs in. Put the hubs in, still spinning. Couldn't back up, couldn't go forward. There I was. And I'm trying to think of what could be wrong. And so I'm thinking it over, and one thing is I knew I was going to have to winch myself out of the mud hole, so I get out. Too bad that Toyota would have been down there to pull you out. Yeah, the Toyota. Yeah, that's what I needed, a Toyota. Yeah. So anyways, I had to winch out, and me and Scott got troubleshooting things. I was going through my mind that I knew it wasn't the transfer case or anything. Front drive shaft spinning. He said, it's got to be a hub. And I'm like, well, Zach just had that apart. So we ended up having to take the afternoon. We were going to go hunting an afternoon spot there, and drove home and took the hub apart, and there was I don't even know what it was, some shim there in the hub, and it was bent sideways, so it wasn't, I said, that's what's the problem. It wasn't letting the hub engage. So if you don't have one, the other one side's not going to pull either. So got that troubleshooted out, and good to go. You had to mention.
I think Brandon's happy now.
I know. You hated to tell me that last night.
I know.
I loved every minute of it.
Yeah. I always said to everybody, you ever been stuck in that? And I go, nope, because I always got out. So I always figure if you get out, you're not stuck.
Well, that was like last week. Lee kept giving me and Jameson a hard time because we had Yoders, and he said that you needed a Ford, and he was waiting for us to get stuck or broke down so he'd come pull us out, but that didn't happen.
Yeah. So I was happy. I got it in four-wheel drive now, and she goes. Because we got more snow coming. Sunday night, it looks like another pretty good shot of snow here. So.
Yep. Next week will be good.
Yeah. All right. We'll wrap it up on that note. Thanks, Brandon.
You're welcome.
So, as always, appreciate our sponsors and help us support those so they can support this and keep us going. And click your subscribe button there on the YouTube and like the Facebook and all that good stuff. And until next week or next time, good luck on the trail.